Greetings and salutations, or more simply, Happy New Year, 2024. Derek, this, by my calculation, means that we have done this show together for 14 years.
Yes, entering our fifth year of the reincarnation here on ISC, but 14 years, so a third of my life, you and I have been best friends.
Enough that we now dress alike, apparently.
And a sixth of your life, or a fifth of your life, we've been best friends. So amazing. Yeah, we're a little matchy today. I've got like the dark gray here, light gray, and then you've got the dark gray and then light gray up here. Ooh, your shoulders feel nice. Have you been like military press, or what have you been doing? Shoulders, they feel a little. They're not as rock hard as mine.
This is all natural. And what?
But
you look like you're constipated when you do that. You look ridiculous, actually.
I didn't do anything. I just showed off my.
Did you do anything over the holiday break? There's the question for you. How were the holidays?
I had a whole to-do list. So I've got this stupid pear tree in my front yard that the old lady that we bought the house from planted like right before. Now it's humongous. All of its leaves drop on like December 20th, which I've already collected.
Makes
all
it
the
easy
leaves.
to see the partridge.
But yeah, so I had to rake. I had to do some house cleaning stuff. So overall, it was a very productive winter break.
Does it actually grow pears?
No.
Then it's not a pear tree.
No, I think it's just called that. I don't know if it actually is supposed to grow pears eventually, but no, it grows these little leaves that I had to clean up. So I did like a lot of like housework.
Pear trees grow pears
during my
they?
break. I have no idea.
They don't come out of the ground.
See, I don't want to get too off track. We got like a big show today, but no. To answer your question, I did a lot of like stuff around the house and hung out with my son.
Called a pear tree though.
We played every board game that we owned. So no, it was a good break.
What board games do you own?
Monopoly. Well, I counted Uno. But we played Game of Life. We played Guess Who. We played
Chutes and Ladders.
Battleship. I don't have Chutes and Ladders. He's too old for it now.
Is Chutes and Ladders a little kid game?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
What? Sorry.
Sorry is a ruthless game.
It is.
Sorry is a ruthless game.
Is.
Yeah, but yeah, we played that too.
Okay, fair enough.
How about you?
No, it's pretty laid back, to be honest with you.
I mean, at this point in our lives, right? I'm 40, you're 52 or whatever.
We usually do Christmas Eve at my parents' house. My dad wasn't feeling well. He's fine. So we did a new tradition of going out to dinner on Christmas Eve. And
wow.
I didn't realize it's more challenging to find places open past like 5 than you'd think.
The challenge that I ran into this year, we always do Chinese on Christmas Eve. It was a Sunday, and a lot of Chinese places are closed on Sunday. So we didn't really know that, so we were kind of SOL. I called like Golden Walk at 42nd and Lafayette. I called Taste of China up on 83rd in Michigan.
Like?
Oh, Buffet King.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were closed.
Okay.
They were closed, yeah. We don't want to do anything in person on Christmas Eve. Gotcha. We always get it and bring it back.
Okay.
But yeah.
So we did that and then went to watch The Elect on New Year's Eve.
Oh, nice.
At the
Noodle?
Yep.
Nice.
Bob Kravitz joined us.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Been a long time since I've been in there. I did New Year's Eve at the Noodle for several years, and it's been 10-plus years since I've done that.
It was cool.
Yeah.
So that's that. But Derek, I'll tell you what. I mean, not only is it like New Year's, but it is a festivity of sports topics because we got a ton to talk about. I mean,
oh, yeah.
Comes down to this for the Colts. Colts and Texans, win and you're in, right?
Yep.
Win and you're in. You know, I saw Pittsburgh is still listed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute. Pittsburgh, because I got thinking about this, I'm like, how could Pittsburgh be still in contention? Because there's only one spot left, and you have Houston playing Indianapolis, both of which have beaten Pittsburgh.
It's because of Buffalo.
Pittsburgh can get in. Buffalo's in, though, right?
No. If Buffalo loses to the Dolphins and the Steelers win, I believe Pittsburgh gets the last spot.
No.
Is that not right? I thought that I played around with the playoff generator, and that's what it was.
I thought I saw that Pittsburgh's only chance of getting in is if Indianapolis and Houston tie.
Let me look on that, but I'm pretty sure that in a tiebreaker, a 10-7 tiebreaker, it has to be a couple of ways. Obviously, that Pittsburgh would go over Buffalo, but you might.
Who does Buffalo play?
Miami. So they're literally, if they can win the AFC East still, Buffalo, if they beat Miami. But let me look at that here real quick. All right, so here we go. Week 17. Or sorry, I still call it week 17, don't you? The last week, week 18 now. Let's do home team here. and then I'll flip it around to play around with this. But I think what happens is that if the Dolphins, I don't know, Greg's probably explaining it to me at the top here. Here we go.
Steelers in with Buffalo loss and a win, it says.
Yeah. They would be the 6th seed and Buffalo would be the 7th seed. So the Steelers technically have the tiebreaker over Buffalo.
But how would the Steelers be higher than Indianapolis or Houston?
Houston. If Houston loses, they're 9-8. The loser of that game's 9-8.
What I'm saying is this: what is Indianapolis' record?
They're 9-7.
Okay, Houston's 9-7, right?
Yeah.
What's Pittsburgh's record?
9-7.
Okay. What I'm saying is, if Pittsburgh is 10-7, and the winner of Indy or Houston's 10-7, Pittsburgh lost to either Houston or Indy. What would Buffalo's record be if Buffalo? What's Buffalo's record?
10-6.
Okay, so here's the answer. If Buffalo loses, this is what's so convoluted. I'm 99.9% certain this is correct. Okay? A tiebreaker is head-to-head unless there are multiple teams involved.
Yeah, then the head-to-head goes out the window.
And then there's some weird other formula in which Pittsburgh would have – in other words, Pittsburgh needs a third team to come in and play at 10-7. And then that vaults.
This is what would have happened had Kansas City lost to Cincinnati. The Colts would have still been okay had Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and the Colts all finished 10-7. The Colts would have gone over Cincinnati.
It's a 3-team tiebreaker, right?
The Colts would have gone over Cincinnati in that case.
Right, because the tiebreaker changes if there are more than two teams.
So luckily we don't have to worry about that. This is a really convoluted way to say the Colts have a very straightforward scenario here. Winning, they're in. Losing, they're out. Winning, they're either the division champ or the wild card. Lose, and they go home.
So is there – by the way, it's not about math as hard. It's about the different formulas. In other words, the tiebreaker status between two teams is different
than
when
3 or 4
team
teams
comes involved.
Yeah.
And then it changes to, even though I beat you, because there's now a third team, it falls to, and I think it's
common
either,
games or divisional
I think it's conference record.
Whatever it is, yeah.
I think it's
conference record.
Formulas are hard. That is true. Mm-hmm. Now, the other question is this. Is there a scenario if the Indianapolis Colts lose to the Houston Texans where the Colts get in?
No.
They cannot get in with a loss. They are going up against, and this is an area I think of concern to some extent, they are going against a team, and it's not off, they have had, for a lot of the games they've won this year, Derek, they have played games where they had their better quarterback on the field.
Yeah.
This is not one of them.
No, this will not be one of them. But if you want to go back in the Wayback Machine, I guess not that far back, 2015 and 2016, one of those games they had Matt Hasselbeck. The other game, I think they had Andrew Luck. They lost to Brandon Weeden and Brock Osweiler in back-to-back years at home, and that was essentially an AFC South division championship game.
Oh, well,
so maybe that can flip
They
around.
have, of late, had massive late-season crumbles for sure.
Yeah, and so maybe they can flip that around. But, yeah, the scenarios are win in Jacksonville, loss, 4-seed, host Cleveland. Win Jacksonville, win Buffalo, loss, 6-seed, go to Kansas City. Win Jacksonville, win Buffalo, win 7-seed, go to Buffalo. Is it weird to say, I mean, obviously you want the home game, right? But of the wild card scenarios, is it weird to say I would rather go to Arrowhead than go to Buffalo?
No, I think that's true.
Right?
Now, for sure.
I think Kansas City's offense is that limited.
Kansas City feels kind of like Philadelphia, and the fact it's like, what in the world has happened?
They can't score.
Yeah.
What's
happened to Philadelphia?
Be careful what you wish for. Philadelphia they were 10-1, but the way that those games shook out, they probably should have been more like 7-4, So I'm not as surprised by Philadelphia as some other people. I think what we're kind of falling into here is that Baltimore is really surging, and the Niners, I think, are clearly the best team in the NFC. And are we going to see some parity, or are those two teams just earmarked to play each other again in what would be a Super Bowl rematch?
Right.
That's what because to me, everybody else is the same.
The teams that are red hot going in are typically not the ones that actually, you know what I mean?
Somebody
gets bounced.
That is true, but we've been pretty chalky for the last 7, 8, 9 years.
You want to know the team, Derek?
We've been pretty chalky.
Let me tell you the team that nobody's talking about. And it feels like in early February you're going to look back and go, you know what? man, I mean, if anybody would have paid attention, they were just hanging around.
Yeah.
And here they are.
Hit me with it. Dallas?
That's my NFC team
Okay.
in that category.
I mean, the NFC's 3 teams, really.
Correct.
Yeah.
But Dallas has been as consistent as any of them. The Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
With that defense.
Yeah. Their defense is incredible.
Their defense is great. And yeah, you keep kind of waiting for Joe Flacco to finally, for water to find its level there. But, I mean, he is a veteran, and he's played well. I'm telling you.
I'm really confident.
Now, let me ask you this. Your son is a Browns fan, right?
Yeah, he is. Yeah. We stayed up and watched the first half of the Thursday night game, and he was super geeked about it.
I'm kind of confused by this, though. Your son did he want a Cleveland Browns jersey for Christmas?
Yes.
Or, okay.
Yeah. Well, no.
But
he
you wanted
didn't
to-
specifically ask for that, but we want to encourage this new Browns fandom that he
Okay.
found this year.
And so you went out and bought a Browns jersey.
Yes. Yeah.
Your job, aside from this one, is where? What is your title?
Senior strategic communicator and media relations specialist for Purdue.
Purdue University.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I think that's my title.
So the Cleveland Browns have a player on their roster that's one of the more electric and popular football boilers of the last 10 years, right?
Yeah.
And David
David Bell. Yep.
So dad works for Purdue. Son has adopted the Browns as his team. There's a player on team that works for daddy's job. And yet you bought the jersey of a former Browns player because it was on sale?
Oh yeah, I got a great deal. Yeah. It was $20.
Did you think about a David Bell jersey?
No. Once I saw the deal for the Baker jersey, I just went for it.
He doesn't play there anymore.
Jake, have you met any Browns fans? You know Browns fans, right?
Yeah.
If you're a real Browns fan, you don't wear a jersey of a current player. The Browns fan base is beautiful because if you go to a Browns-Colts game or you go to any game in Cleveland, 90% of the Browns jerseys you see are guys that not only don't play there anymore, haven't played there for years.
That's because...
That's the fun of it.
Okay. But Baker Mayfield...
More than any other fan base. More than any other fan base, you see former Browns jerseys just all over the place. I don't know.
You've gone to a Colts game lately?
Well, yeah, but you see Jonathan Taylor and Quentin Nelson and stuff like that.
I did see a Rodney Stuckey jersey at the Pacer game.
Oh my God!
In the wild.
Wow, that's a deep cut.
I actually thought about posting it because I was so impressed by it.
I saw a Tyreek Evans one the last Pacers game I went to, and I couldn't believe it. Rodney Stuckey. Wow. If I'm not mistaken, when our buddy Eddie White gave one of those media tours, he gave us a 1260 jersey, and I'm pretty sure it was a Stuckey one, wasn't it?
That may be right.
Yeah. I don't know what happened to that. When we got let go, I cleaned out our office, but I think somebody might have grabbed the Rodney
still
Stuckey
hanging
jersey.
in there.
Yeah.
Okay, so your thoughts, though, Colts, Texans, does Indianapolis win?
Yes. I'm really confident that they don't get here and then blow it. I know what happened in 21. I know what happened in 15 and 16. I know what the recent history has been, but I feel really confident that the Colts don't let this unbelievable opportunity at home slip away
Derek,
from them.
this comes down to an area that has been patience has been begged for Chris Ballard and the Colts brass in terms of an area on the side of the ball that they have forever been trying to build. And in Chris Ballard's defense, I think at times that it really has come together nicely. But their defensive backfield is A, banged up, and B, suspensions and everything else. So to keep C.J. Stroud, if he has time back there, can possibly pick them apart. He is a ball placement specialist, C.J. Stroud. What they need to do is get C.J. Stroud uncomfortable and rattle him. The pass rush is the absolute key to this game against the Houston Texans. They have got to be able to get in there and make things uncomfortable for C.J. Stroud. If they are able to do that, if Kwity Paye and DeForest Buckner and Dio, if they're able to just keep him at bay, then I think they have a really good chance. Because Jonathan Taylor being there, Michael Pittman obviously continues to play well. The tight end room, we're still waiting for somebody to emerge and say, I am the lead guy. We know one guy that's not going to be. But I do like that Will Mallory can make some plays for them. And Mo Alley Cox,
Will Mallory might be their best guy.
I know.
Best pass catcher.
He's going to be their best long-term option, I think. But health-wise, it feels like they're coming together a little bit. As much as you can be for this time of year. So I do think advantage Colts. I think they will.
Yeah, where I'm encouraged, and this is even more than just the Houston game. I'm encouraged with where the Colts are because I think remember we've talked impact positions, right? The Colts aren't good enough where it counts. They've gotten a lot better, I think, this year, and they've grown a lot with what you've seen from Bernard Ryman at left tackle, right? Left tackle, impact, critical position, pass rush. They've gotten a lot better. This has been one of the most productive pass rushes that they've ever had. Now, I do think that guys like Dio, to me, have flashed, whereas I think Kwity Paye has had almost like a Yannick Ngakoue sort of situation where the numbers look okay, but you watch Paye and you're like, I'm still not really sure.
I mean, he's kind of just a guy.
Yeah, right? I'm not really sure where he is, but I agree with you. The defensive secondary being where it is, it's actually amazing that the Colts have been able to survive. Like Devontae Adams had a very productive game on paper last week, but he didn't make like game-changing plays. The garbage time touchdown was garbage time, right? It was a tremendous catch that probably Adams and 3 or 4 other guys in the league can make, but they weren't game-changing plays, and that's what they're going to have to guard against this week against Houston is game-changing plays. I will say this, Jake, and I want to get this on the record. I think that this season is a success, even if they lose.
Oh, for sure.
Will I be disappointed if they lose? Yeah, of course I will. It's a home game against a division opponent. You want to win those games. But I still think this season is a success overall.
Here's my one area of pause, I guess, in labeling it as success. In the form of the 2023-24 season, yes, indeed. Absolute success. No question. It exceeded what you thought. They had more wins than you anticipated. They are probably going to the playoffs, but at the very least, in the final game of the year, they're in playoff contention. Yeah. All those things are a home run. The one area that may be a failure is that this year was entirely and 100% about the acclimation and development in the National Football League of Anthony Richardson, your franchise quarterback, your first franchise quarterback in a decade. And sure, it was at no fault of anyone that he was not able to, at least from an on-the-field standpoint, develop that because of the injury. But is it possible that what they did was inflate the expectations of his full-time debut and make things more difficult and challenging with a bigger bullseye for him when he goes out into the real full-force wins of the NFL? Wins with a D. Like all the pressure's coming at him. Did they make it now to the point where next year it is a setback to an extent? That's possible, but that's in a vacuum. This was a successful season.
Yeah, but you want that, right? You want expectations.
You do, but I don't know about like there is I guess what I'm getting at is this, and it's convoluted and it's nitpicking and it's pessimistic. None of those things I am, right? But there is the possibility that what they have done is created an expectation or a platform that, as a result, has the potential to rattle his confidence if they're not able to maintain at this level. If they have a dip next year, which may well be the case because the schedule might have made them look a little better than they are, but if they have a dip next year and you do have seasons, Derek, where everything just kind of comes back to the NFL's cruel like that, right? Where everything balances out. And if that happens when he is the guy under center, does it set him back from a confidence standpoint to the point that's detrimental? I'm not saying it's going to be the case, but I think it's something to keep an eye on.
The flip side of that is that most of the core of this team is going to be back in 24, right?
You're right.
And now you're learning how to
you figured out who you can run with and
you're building upon something. My argument for this season being a success is that the Colts are building a new foundation. They really had to tear it down. I mean, that's really what they had to do. The Colts might not say that, but when you go 4-12-1 and you're the laughingstock of the league because of your interim coach situation and your owner's embarrassing press conference and all of that, That was a teardown last year.
Right.
That where we are right now. Last year, right now, we were entering a Week 18 game where the Colts were playing the Texans. They were the two worst teams in the league at that point. And now this is a play and you're in sort of situation. So this is a complete 180 from what last year was. So I think even with a loss, as disappointing as that would be, I'm not sitting here and saying that wouldn't be a huge blown opportunity for the franchise. I still think that the 2023 season overall is something for them to build upon.
Is it to you of concern, or is it, and maybe it's the law, maybe it's the average in the NFL, the fact that the Colts this year, in a good year, have had 8 players now suspended?
Yeah, I do. I do think it's a concern. I with 53 guys and not even including the practice squad, you're going to have incidents pop up. All NFL teams do. But the fact that there have been this many, and let's face it, the Drew Ogletree accusations are very, very serious. This isn't
correct.
This isn't something like
he likely will never play again.
You know, a public intox or
right.
You know, I'm trying to think. Even the gambling stuff, like for the NFL, that's serious, right? Because of the integrity of the game. But this is life. This is life stuff that is very, very serious. So yeah, I'm a little bit troubled by these situations keep popping up this year.
My thing is
Colts
this:
team.
I get the fact that it's going to happen probably in any line of work. When you have 53, 55, 60 people, you're going to have I get it, right? But you can't preach to me that with your fringe level players that you feel that you have a culture with your star players that keeps those guys in check. Clearly it doesn't. And I understand that it probably is the law of average within the NFL, but quit preaching to me that you are a team whose scruples are above average.
I think this is
they're average.
This year has been too much to just kind of brush aside and say, "Oh, well, this happens." No, this shouldn't happen.
Right.
This amount of having these amount of issues should not happen in one season. And the Colts have had it's been it's been a black eye, really. I think for the year, it has cast a shadow over the year. If they make the playoffs and they go 10-7, people will be celebrating that, as they should. But I agree with you. I think there's a difference between a few isolated incidents and literally every single week we're talking about something.
To me, Derek, it goes back to, yes, I mean, I'm not excusing any of the things that took place, but at the same time, just my perception, maybe I'm wrong in this, but it feels like it is a franchise that touts its culture and its character mattering more than most franchises.
Yeah, the
horseshoe guy
franchises in LA and New York don't worry about that stuff. In Middle America,
right.
You know, we do worry about those sort of things.
But bottom line is, when you're in Colts, and it's been obviously a very good season, Jonathan Taylor now back and healthy, Michael Pittman playing well and healthy, coming off of the obviously the scary concussion situation. Gardner Minshew, I mean, give him credit. Gardner Minshew has played well. Yeah. Has he had his moments? Sure. But he has done as much as you could ask for a backup quarterback. And there's a reason why when he was signed, people were excited about it, because he is a pro's pro to go out there and play well and put them in position. So
he's maximized his situation,
totally,
I think.
Totally.
This is about as good as you could have hoped for.
And Gardner Minshew is that's the kind of guy that fans like, right?
Yeah,
because
he's a very
when his
likable
number's
guy.
called, he goes out there, he's a little bit quirky, but he's pro's pro, and he goes out and gets his job done. A lot more to talk about, including college football and the Pacers starting to put things together a little bit. Big win heading into this particular show, and then they've got to turn around and do it again this week. Indiana, Purdue in action. Full slate of college games. A lot to talk about here. I almost said Query and Company. Query and Schultz is the name of the show.
This isn't your radio show.
Well, you look perturbed.
Well, come on.
I have to say it like 3 times a day, every day.
We've been together for 14 years. You've done Query and Company for what, like 4 weeks?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
But I'm tired.
Okay. Can we? Yeah. I was going to say, Vince, can we get to the wide shot? Okay. I just want to remind everybody where we are, what we're doing, what show this is.
It's the ISC Sports Network. We thank Bailey and Wood, by the way, as always, for their sponsorship of this program. Talking about Query and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network, presented by Bailey and Wood. Derek, BAWFG.com.
855-350-HOME.
Slow down when you say that.
855-350-HOME.
Thank you.
So my co-host Jay Query and I on Query and Schultz will be back for more talk on Query and Schultz. It's Bailey and Wood presents Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network. Stay tuned for more Query and Schultz.
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Hey, AC.
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Bailey and Wood presents Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network, alongside Jake Query. I'm Derek Schultz. Hope you had a great holiday. Happy New Year as well. We de-Christmased the house the other night, which is always kind of depressing.
Derek, I'm weird like this. I love Christmas. I love everything about it.
Yeah.
I love the tradition leading up to it. I love that we go to this year. I will admit this year was weird because Newfield Lights. Did you go to Newfield Lights this year?
Can I make a quick comment about that?
Yes.
We live not far from Newfields in the neighborhood. They made a lot of changes after they renamed it from being the IMA. I think people know what's gone on with their board. My wife and I have decided not to give a single dollar to Newfields, and we never have, and we are very comfortable with that decision. I understand that the lights and things like that are cool. They've never felt like part of the neighborhood.
I've never totally understood what all the controversies were, but I get that there are controversies.
I mean, you know about the controversy from a couple of years ago
yes,
that started this whole thing. But the fact that, Chris Gall and I think Doug Bowles might have been one of the board people. I mean, people that I really like and respect are distancing themselves from that. I think proves that we made the right decision.
Well,
I don't mean to get on a soapbox.
The Newfield Lights, though, this year I thought was markedly
less
down. Yes. Yeah. I mean, it was shorter. You go through the Lily House, like you went through two rooms and you're out, and you're like,
yeah.
It was. But anyway, in addition to that, it was odd doing it. There was just something about, like last year, Christmas kind of got like punched in the gut because if you remember, we had a polar vortex and they shut everything down the weekend.
I remember.
And then this year, it was like 60 degrees. Mm-hmm. So walking around in jeans and a sweatshirt was kind of like, is this really Christmas?
I wish we could save the 60-degree Christmas Eve for like January 17th.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That'd be nice.
Well, and then we had, when you're at any situation, with a big Christmas tree, whether in Rockefeller Center or whatever it might be, so you want to get a picture of everybody and you have to pick a stranger. Excuse me, would you mind taking a photo for us? And then, of course, the trade-off is, well, I'll be happy to take yours for you.
Of course.
So the people we did that with, the guy takes the photo, and then he says, I got to tell you, to me, he says, I got to tell you, has anybody ever told you that you look identical? I can't believe how much you look like Dexter Gordon. I go, excuse me? He goes, Dexter Gordon, the saxophonist. I've not, this is unbelievable. Are you not familiar with him? No, I'm not familiar with him. I've never seen anybody look so much like him. Now, let me pull up a picture of Dexter Gordon.
It's very Newfields to be like, oh, hello, fellow debutante. Welcome
he
to
was like,
my ivory-gated
He was super
community.
excited about it. Like,
do you know about this jazz musician that
he
I
was
listen to?
really excited to tell me that I look like Dexter Gordon.
What? Yeah, no, I
Can we
don't.
zoom
Yeah,
in on
I don't
that?
really see that one.
That's
yeah.
Dexter Gordon
Yeah.
there.
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't
that-
see it.
Okay.
It's a little odd.
I was like, okay. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if the lighting
odd.
was off.
Let's get to another one of our sponsors, or at least another Indianapolis entity.
But what I was going to say real quick, Derek, is as soon as Christmas, I love Christmas. I love everything about it. And then by like 6 o'clock on December 25th, I'm like, all right, over. Let's go. Like, let's just get through January. Let's go. Let's just move it all. Put it.
Well, what sucks about this month, you know what 4 weeks from now, right is 4 weeks from now. So 4 episodes from now, you know what will be?
All-Star game.
No, it'll still be January.
Yeah, I know.
And we'll be sitting here.
I know.
I mean,
it's still
it's
gonna be-
31 days. It feels like 78 days.
I know. And it's gray and 30 degrees every day. And
Unlike Newfield, somebody that is interested in being part of the neighborhood is our friends at Hoagies and Hops, 42nd and Boulevard, not too far over from where that location is. And it's time for our
the Santeria.
Hoagie Hero of the Week. And we got our Brew of the Week as well. I just want to say this. It's a new year. I wanted to highlight the catering for Hoagies and Hops. They do these delicious catering trays with all of their Italian meats.
That is good.
And cheeses.
This is great.
That they ship in. It's Dietz and Watson and the Lisco's South Jersey fresh shipped in bread
Derek,
as
this
well.
is as smooth a beer.
I know.
As we've had.
We'll talk about the beer too, because it is good. I saw Christina raise $1,700 for Zaire Franklin's Foundation, and they do all that all the time. They do Dine to Donate stuff. They do stuff in the community.
She's always doing
that you
stuff
don't
in the
even hear
community.
about. And it's so cool because she's not from here. You know, for you, and I think this is a great attribute for you. So I'm not, knocking it at all. But you've been here essentially outside of like a 3-year stretch in St. Louis. You've been here your whole life.
Right.
So it's easy for you to love Indianapolis. It's part of who you are. It's your blood is in the soil here. For Christina and her husband and her family and the Hoagies and Hops family, that's not true. They're not a bunch of indie people. She's from PA, and she's proud of it, and she brings a piece of her home here because this is her new home.
It's very cool.
And it's just like I connect with it because it's what I do on this show, where I bring a little Connecticutianism with me every single week on the show. Indianapolis is my new home, but I will always be a proud Connecticutian, and I bring some of that Connecticutianisms with me on this show.
Connecticutianism?
Mm-hmm. Connecticutianism.
Connecticutianism.
Yeah, there you go. You got it.
What flavor of Connecticutianism do you bring?
Of the flavor? I mean, something spicy.
No, but I
I'd
mean,
say something hot.
Give me an example of a Connecticutian attribute that you.
Oh well,
profess.
it's the whole thing. It's the look. It's the brand. It elevates the show. Like,
But I mean,
just
somebody.
you is,
If somebody from Connecticut was watching this show, tell me something that you do that would let them know that you share a kindred Connecticutian spirit with them.
I think it's just it's not really one specific thing. It's just the confidence, the swagger, the sexiness. Those are all Connecticut parts of me. Like, you're kind of like the humble, like white bread sort of thing. That's like Midwest Indiana, and I'm more of the that sort of thing.
Connecticut's known as one of the.
I actually got an undershirt on, which was a bad choice. I should have just gone no.
Connecticut's known as one of the smaller states, right?
It's the nutmeg state, which is I just sprinkle a little bit of that nutmeg all over this show.
Okay.
All over the show.
All right.
And,
Where's our
and Christina
sandwich?
does it with the meats and cheeses.
Where's our sandwich?
So I forgot what day it was during the week. Like, I don't even know what's today. Is today Tuesday? January 2nd.
I saw Greg Rakestraw last week on like Friday. I said, Greg, we're good to go on Tuesday, right? He says, yes, absolutely. Of course.
I forgot what day it was to pick up. So
how do you forget what day it is? We always tape on Tuesday.
I forgot. I'm sorry.
We had a Tuesday off because it was the day after Christmas, and I actually said during, like, people are like, did you get everything you want for Christmas? And I said, well, not necessarily, but it's okay because a week from now I get to have hoagie and hops.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll make up for it next week. You can have a bite of my sandwich next week.
You remembered the beer, which is good, and this is good,
Yeah,
by the way.
I did remember the beer. I'm sorry. I won't forget next time. I
This
promise.
is the chili water, by the way.
Yeah, Santeria. I needed something to
Santeria.
warm us up. This is
Smooth
it's
as
a
can be.
summer beer, right? It's a summery
great.
beer.
It is great.
Still available. The cans in the fridge at the tap room, 42nd Boulevard. Our Hoagies and Hops hero of the week, Braden Smith. Handled Max Crosby for the most part. Didn't let him wreck the game. I get it. He's hurt a lot, or
He's a good player,
he's
though.
been hurt a lot. That wasn't the case early in his career, but lately, it got to the point where even I was wondering, is this guy a cut candidate? Because they have an out on his deal. But I think he showed why he's so valuable. And it's one of the big storylines of this season, Jake, that the offensive line turnaround from where they were first half of 2022 to now. And it's largely the same parts outside of a few changes, Will Fries and guys like that. They've solidified some spots. But really, Kelly, Nelson, Ryman now in year 2, and Braden Smith, all of those guys have elevated their games this season and have been good when healthy.
I think, Derek, the thing about this offensive line that is a little bit intriguing, when they play well, they're really good.
And when
But
they're
they
bad, they're
just
bad.
don't
Yeah.
seem to find the stability to be able to, like Dallas's offensive line when they were, you knew game in and game out, their line was just rock solid, right? And the Colts have had games where they've been really good. Yeah. And then the same group and personnel will come back a week later and they fall off a little bit. The consistency has just been the
overall.
one thing.
They've been good. You're right, but look at the last 4 weeks. Cincinnati, they were run over. Right, you come back the
You're
next
right.
week, you run over Pittsburgh. Atlanta, you're run over. You come back the next week, and you control the Raiders and you control that game for the most part. So yeah, it's interesting how it's worked out. But this is what all the NFL. You know, I had somebody mention me. I think it was our buddy Rob Albright, who's very active on Twitter, said the Colts aren't killers; they're just about surviving. And I'm like, Rob, 90% of the league is just surviving right now, given the quarterback injuries and all of that. I mean, this entire year for everybody but Baltimore and San Francisco has been survival. Just survive every week. And that's what the Colts have been doing, and let's hope that they do it one more time here.
The thing about the line is, you know, is it less necessary, I guess, when you have a Jonathan Taylor? Well, I don't think so. I think you can look at it and go, well, Jonathan Taylor's a good enough back that, you know, they just need adequate line play. He still needs a hold a pop through, and then that's where you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think
that's where he goes.
His problem is that, like, peak healthy Jonathan Taylor in 21 probably doesn't need it, but 23 banged up. You know, Jonathan Taylor's not right. Like, you can kind of tell, right?
Yeah.
That he's not. He's probably operating at like 80%.
I was going to say 70,
He shows flashes here and there, but like this year, it just I don't know. 23 is just kind of one of those years. I'm not trying to launch in a whole Jonathan Taylor thing. But,
Jonathan, I think we can tell that Jonathan Taylor's not 100% based on the fact that in that Pittsburgh game, if those guys were able to put up those kinds of numbers, then Jonathan Taylor should be putting that up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I just don't think that – I think this year is ultimately a wash with the holdout and, well, I'm calling it a holdout, whatever that was.
It's not a wash for him. Not a wash for him, buddy.
All of that, I think it was a little bit of a
paid off for him.
It's a season that never really got off the ground for him with injuries and with what happened at the beginning of the year, unfortunately. I'm still hopeful that Jonathan Taylor can get back to being – I mean, for the Colts' sake, they better hope that he does because what they're paying him, you're paying him to be a game breaker. You're not paying him for – 17 carries and 70 yards. You're not. And statistically, Taylor has not been close. I think he's been better than what his numbers show, but statistically, he's not been close to what he needs to be.
Well, then again, I guess we can't quantify the value of him, even if he doesn't have great yardage, that a quarterback like Gardner Minshew is able to go through the air and get kind of rhythm because of the fact that Taylor's back there.
Fair.
You know what I mean?
No, I'm not disagreeing with you. Let's talk Pacers. Big bounce back. Middle of last month, you were looking and being like, ooh, remember that game they gave up $150 to the Clippers? And you were, I was, at that point, I was like, okay, the defense is a problem. I'm really worried about that.
Let me show you something. Do you have a sheet of paper?
No, I don't.
Okay, I'll write on this one.
I have a laptop because it's 2024. They don't have a sheet. Do they make sheets of paper anymore? Like legal pads?
I'm gonna write something out here.
Do you have a sheet of paper on you? Yes. Here you go.
You keep talking.
Here's my nickel. Do you need a nickel?
You keep talking.
You keep talking. Grab you my nickel. Pacers have ripped off 4 straight wins after losing 6 of 8 after the in-season tournament. They captured their 3rd win over Milwaukee on Monday night. They play Milwaukee again. We're taping this on Tuesday and Wednesday. Doesn't it feel like they've played Milwaukee 28 times this year? Like, what is the deal?
I also noticed, by the way, you ever notice that the Kansas City Chiefs are always at home? When's the last time you turned on?
Yeah, you're right. It's been a lot of Arrowhead games this year, I feel like, in prime time. Doesn't sound like much, but the Pacers over this stretch, so 6-game stretch, they've given up just 115 a game, which 10 years ago would have been cause for alarm. But considering that they were giving up about 130 leading up to that for the season, that's pretty good. This is a really big homestand for them. Bucks Wednesday, Hawks Friday, Celtics twice. So you get Saturday, the poor Pacers, they've got a 7 o'clock game against the Celtics on Saturday night, and of course the Colts playoff game.
Here's their new logo, Derek.
Or virtual playoff game goes on Saturday night.
What I did there?
Yeah.
What'd I do?
You made the D low because it's Indiana. But their defense has been better.
See, they're starting to mix in a little D.
That's what you're.
Yep.
You're knocking them with that.
No, I'm saying that they're finally, for a while there, that D was non-existent.
Okay.
There's a little D that's starting to show itself, right?
I don't know. Maybe that works for the radio show. And then the Wizards on Wednesday is their homestand.
This wouldn't work on the radio at all. You can't even see
Tyrese Halliburton's been much better. I mean, not to blame it all on one guy, but he's so important to what they do. Halliburton did not play well coming back from the tournament. He was turning the ball over. He was not shooting well. And that, I think, really impacted the Pacers.
When he gets in like the zone that he's in lately, they're really good, right?
And how about the starting lineup change?
The hard thing, Derek, for the Pacers has been this. it is really hard to, their bread and butter and the thing that they were doing that was unique to other teams and making them difficult for other teams to figure out was they were playing at a level of offensive efficiency that was almost historic in the NBA. And they were doing it, though, by not guarding anybody. So once they said, you know what, we've got to start clamping down on our defense because we're not going to score on the nights when we have off nights, we're totally screwed at that point. So the challenge became, how do you increase your defense while not compromising totally your offense and giving away your brand? And they've kind of found that balance in it. One of the guys that I think has been critical for them, two of the guys that have played really well for them, and they're two guys that I'm admittedly a fan of, but Aaron Nesmith and Isaiah Jackson both are playing really well for them.
Really happy to see Isaiah Jackson play so well. This is a critical year for him.
But he and Nesmith both are playing well offensively, which is important because it has allowed them to have really good defenders, but not totally compromise everything offensively because of the fact that they can still score on the other end.
Yeah, and I think they did the right thing with the starting lineup. Not that somebody like Obi Toppin wasn't playing well, but I think he's more suited to the role that he's in now. And I still think they're going to be a problem, Jake. It's 82 games, and people, and I fall into this trap as well. People get into this, oh my God, when they have a bad week or a bad 2 weeks, it's going to happen. You're going to have a bad month,
right?
Sometimes in an 82 game
season. You just
season.
Don't want it to be January because January is longer than any other month.
Well, yeah, you just can't simmer on it. You got to kind of brush it aside, and if you didn't brush aside the Pacers' December struggles, you should have. Just don't get too high, don't get too low. College hoops-wise, a big week as well for Purdue especially, but also for Indiana and Butler. The number one Boilers wrapped up their third straight unbeaten non-conference season. They're only the third team to do that in the last 40 years.
It's amazing.
3 straight. And one of them is Syracuse.
And I mean,
which you take with a grain of salt because Jim Boeheim's Syracuse teams never leave the state of New York.
Right.
Basically.
I mean, the teams that they've beaten.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of great teams that they've beaten in there. But they got a big week. They got to go at Maryland. Now, Maryland's not great, but that's still a very difficult place to play. And then you've got Illinois at home, and with the way things have shook out, Illinois might be the prime contender in the league.
Well, they're down
right?
one of their better players.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we know that Illinois, arguably their best player, is probably going to be out for the year after a rape allegation.
But they are off to a good start here. I understand.
And
the
they're well
context of
coached.
that.
I mean, yeah.
Brad Underwood's done a nice job there. And then Indiana has a much improved Nebraska team on Wednesday. And they got to go there. That's a tough trip. And then they host Ohio State. So what Indiana has to do is they have to keep beating the teams that share the same level.
Indiana's got to find a continued outside shooting. And Abaco started to hit some shots for them.
Oh, he's been so much better, hasn't he?
Has.
I mean, when he first started the season, you were like, is this it?
Yeah,
this guy?
I know.
And look how much better he's been. So I'm very encouraged by that. I mean, potential for 2 quad 1 wins there. If you win a true road game at Nebraska, Ohio State's around a top 50 team at home. That could be 2 quad 1 wins.
Right.
And maybe better than that. Probably not, but there's a potential there. And then don't forget about Butler. They blew a huge opportunity at Providence. That was a game
that was a big one.
You got to follow up 3.
Do you still have tickets there?
No, not anymore. You have to follow up 3. You have to. I don't know why anybody doesn't do it, and they didn't do it, and it burned them, and they lost in overtime. They've got UConn at home on Friday, and they got to go at St. John's. And Rick Pitino and St. John's on Tuesday, so big week for Butler too at 10-3.
How's St. John's playing?
I think they've been all right. Let me actually look.
I mean, one would assume that that they're playing well.
I think it's going to take a minute. That league is that's a tough league. It's a really tough league. 9-4. They were really competitive against UConn and lost by 4 points. They beat Xavier. They beat West Virginia. Yeah, they've been pretty good.
Speaking of the Big East, Godspeed to and condolences to the Friends family of Joey Meyer. His father, Ray Meyer, of course, was a legendary coach at DePaul. I saw that Joey Meyer passed away last week. I believe he was 73. But DePaul basketball is one of them that certainly of my childhood, I think Greg Rakestraw probably would remember this as well, like probably in his first years of watching college basketball. But DePaul was an absolute thoroughbred. I mean, they were a blue blood program in the 70s and into the early 80s with Ray Meyer, and then eventually Joey Meyer held on to that until like 88, 89, and then things kind of tapered off. But long-time legendary name within the DePaul basketball family.
Sad thing is for them is that I think I don't know what their financial situation is. If I were them, I would almost consider just going to like the Missouri Valley or something. Honestly.
I'm amazed that they haven't been able to turn it around. It's amazing.
It's not coming back. I mean, it's over.
Right.
And it's been over for them for a long time. I mean, they've been a doormat for.
They almost
20
feel
years.
like the Horizon League. You know what I mean?
They've been really.
Nothing wrong with the Horizon League. I'm
really
just saying,
bad, but
like,
I
for
think
a
that's
big
the
school.
level that they belong. Honestly, it's embarrassing, really, how bad they've been. Let's get to our Love That Play. Transitioning college hoop, college football. 2 fantastic national semifinals on Monday night, which we'll talk about in the next segment of the show. But how about Elijah Jackson for Washington?
Textbook, man.
Swatting that ball away. Potentially a game-winning touchdown pass. I mean, they would have had to convert the extra point. I guess it was a 37-31 game. And he almost did it kind of nonchalantly. Just swatted it away. And then just kind of, I think he extended the number 1, or he did the incomplete and then extended the number 1. But you got to think in that situation, you're so worried about drawing a flag, right?
For people that may not be aware, I can't imagine, but if you went to bed and you didn't see it.
Last play of regulation.
Texas was down.
Yep.
So Texas and Washington.
They're at the 10-yard line.
Texas scores a field goal to cut the lead to 6, and you assume that they're going to onside kick. They did not, right? Or if they did onside it, Washington got it, but they got a 4 and out. So Texas got the ball back with a minute to go, and they had to go down and score a touchdown. They marched down the field. They had a pass that was out of bounds with 1 second left. They put the second back on the clock, so Texas had 1 play left. Quinn Ewers, Texas's quarterback, throws to the end zone, had his guy there. It would have been a difficult probably to come down with it.
He was boxing out or trying to Elijah Jackson.
Correct.
And Jackson basically had to jump over.
Without interfering with the body
And
then just swatted the ball out of bounds, end of game. It was a phenomenal play.
I mean, it's a play that if he doesn't make the play, it's a catch. Like, it's not just a,
Correct.
kind of like swatting a fly or whatever, a ball that comes near you. I mean, he had to make a play on the ball, and he did. Washington was disrespected all year, including by me. They really were on thin ice in November. They won a bunch of close games, but they have the best player in America, right?
He was unbelievable yesterday. 400 and how many?
Yeah, and 29 of 38, and he was just putting the ball, elite ball placement. He's been fantastic, and what a story that's been. So now they'll have their chance here against Michigan, and we'll talk about that when we come back here on the show.
All right.
It's Query and Schultz presented by Bailey and Wood Financial Group. College football, quick hits, IUPUI Jags report, Chateau Kitchens, Bader Bowl Bleep. We still got plenty to get to. Stick around.
IUPUI basketball is back. Come witness history with head coach Matt Crenshaw inside Indiana Farmers Coliseum and head coach Kate Bruce inside the Jungle as they usher in a new era of Jaguars athletics. Be there for exciting Horizon League and in-state matchups. Affordable fun for the whole family. Full season tickets are now on sale starting as low as $80. Order today at IUPUIJags.com/tickets or call 317-278-2530. Work hard, make noise, have fun. Go Jags.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride ourselves on our 5-star customer service. But at our core, we're a family. Family owned, and family to our customers, staff, and our community. From charity events to recognizing hometown heroes, we prioritize giving back to our communities that have always supported our growth. So let us help you get your dream home today.
Rolling right along here. Bailey Wood presents Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network, alongside Jay Query. I'm Derek Schultz. Happy New Year. Thanks for making us a part of your day. I mean, I say thanks for making us a part of your day. We're part of your life, right? We're like a core part of the fiber of your being is Query and
Derek,
Schultz.
somehow or another, we have managed to do and live this partnership now for entering year number 14, 5 of them on the ISC Sports Network. You and I talk on a regular basis about how we're a little bit incredulous it's lasted this long.
One of us is.
But it is, at this point, we're not very good at what we do, but we've been doing it long enough that I think people just are used to us. But people do they're loyal to us, and I appreciate it very much. I want to wish a Happy New Year to all of those people. Hope you had a great holiday. But all the kidding aside, all the jabbing and stuff aside, we both truly enjoy doing this, and just knowing how many people have been loyal and good to us, probably far beyond our level of skill set. So it is much appreciated, and we wish everybody the healthiest and happiest of 2024.
It's just a conversation between two best friends, and there happen to be 3 cameras.
Let's
That's
not
really
oversell it.
That's what this show is. So it's just two best friends kicking back, having a great time, and then there are 3 cameras, and then a couple of people, and I guess JD's in there too. So a couple people on the other side of the glass. Let's get to those college football semifinals. I really did think when the Alabama kicker nailed that 52-yarder, I was like, okay, it's over, right? They're up 20-13. It felt like they were in control of the
Derek,
game.
with about 6 minutes to go in the game, leading up to that field goal, I said to myself, if Alabama gets a first down here, it's over. And Michigan did hold them to the field goal.
Yeah.
And they kicked the field goal, and I said, they're still within a score. And then they went down and scored. I actually thought Harbaugh might go for 2.
So did I. Yeah, I was
because they had missed 2 kicks.
Yeah, I was surprised that he didn't.
They go into the overtime, and obviously we know what happens. And I had to think to myself, gosh, if this goes into the late overtimes in the college format where everybody's got to go for the 2-point conversion, surely Dan Campbell's going to call over to Ann Arbor and go, make sure that the right guy's reporting eligible, right? Yeah. But nonetheless, all the controversies of Michigan, this will be fun until it's vacated, but good for them, right?
Yeah, I said it, and I know we have it on tape on the show. I said back in October, I think, I felt strongly all year that they're the best team. And I get it, they're number 1 going. They were a favorite in that game against Alabama, so way to go out on a limb there. But I think they showed you why they're the best team with how maybe athleticism-wise you still give the edge to Alabama. But if you're talking about physicality and all of that, I mean, Michigan was the better team.
You ready for this?
That should have been a 17-point game at halftime. Alabama was very lucky that was a 3-point game at half.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
The Washington Huskies are going to beat Michigan.
I hope you're right. I don't think that's going to happen, but I hope you're right.
I think their offense is that good.
Yeah.
The Washington Huskies will beat Michigan.
Okay. I don't think you're right, but again, I hope you are because I don't really like Michigan.
27-23.
I felt bad for
actually,
Alabama.
31-23.
I felt a little bad actually for Tommy Rees, who's the offensive coordinator there. I think that play had no chance because of the snap.
Bingo. You are exactly correct. They had massive problems snapping the ball late.
Now look, maybe Michigan still stops.
But Derek, I'm not even sure that was the play that was called. That snap was so bad.
They had no chance.
Correct.
So people are like, why did he just run right into the line? I was like, he had no chance. He had nowhere to go. You want to win or lose the game with the ball in your best player's hands. I'm a big proponent of that. And they put the ball in their best player's hands. Unfortunately, they just didn't get him the ball properly in the game. But you're right, the snap issue was a problem all game.
It was
Michigan special teams and Alabama snapping the ball. I mean, Those are the two kind of critical issues of that game. And then, again, credit to Washington and Penix and I think they're very fortunate they had to settle for a bunch of field goals that Texas didn't come back and win the game. But I think it's really important. And Jake, I've always kind of rolled my eyes at narrative and all of that. I think it's actually critically important for this national title game to be between 2 Big Ten, future Big Ten teams.
Big win for the
let me ask you this. Southern, and if we include Clemson, I know Clemson's not an SEC team. College football has been so Southern dominated. To have a Michigan-Washington game is big.
Is this the first national championship game in this format to not have an SEC team?
Yeah, in the 14 playoff. Yeah, because the last time that there hasn't been, or no. Sorry, the first year of the 14 playoff was Ohio State, Oregon.
Oh, you're right.
Mariota and Ohio State beat Alabama in the semi.
Florida State was there too.
The funny thing about that year is that Ohio State Alabama felt like the title game. Because remember, Oregon was playing FSU and they beat them by 600 points and whatever else. But this is the first time, or the second time since 2005 that we haven't had an SEC championship team in the championship.
I'm going to make one other point about the college football playoff, and then I'm done with this. You ready?
Okay. Is it about FSU?
Yes. Yeah. Florida State still should have gotten in. And I know people are going to talk about, well, they got pounded, you bunch of crybaby. Look, they have to roster opted out. But the bottom line is this. In order to make the argument that Alabama should have gotten in over Florida State, Florida State had the better resume. Florida State did everything that was asked of them. Yes, they had an injury. But if the argument is, but the committee's job is just to pick the teams that everybody knows are the 4 best, then Georgia should have been there.
Yeah.
Period. Mm-hmm. Georgia's clearly one of the 4 best.
Yeah, you would think. Yeah.
They got beat by Alabama, granted, but does anybody dispute that Georgia's better than Texas? No. Right?
All those other games, look, the bowl season outside of the playoff games is for edible Pop-Tarts to be, toasted and then eaten. That's what bowl season is about.
Here's the problem with the edible Pop-Tart. The problem with the edible Pop-Tart is it happened the day before the Frosted Flakes Tony the Tiger Bowl. Same company. They completely upstaged themselves.
Yeah, because there was nothing.
Nobody was talking about Tony the Tiger because everybody was talking about the Pop-Tart the night before.
But all these games, Jake, like Missouri and Ohio State, it doesn't mean anything. Notre Dame, Oregon State. Notre Dame was playing an Oregon State team, and Notre Dame had a bunch of opt-outs and key players too missing, but they're playing an Oregon State team that basically was fielding the roster of a group of 5 team.
Right.
Like they had no chance.
By the way,
in that game.
DJ Uiagalelei, the quarterback from Oregon State that opted out.
FSU, right?
Now going to Florida State.
Yeah.
So the number one, this is why I say about recruiting, when people are like, oh my gosh, smoke your cigar and do your happy dance. They got this player. DJ Uiagalelei was the number 1 recruit in the country that was the heir apparent from Trevor Lawrence, went to Clemson. He's a good player. Not great, good player. And then transferred from Clemson, went to Oregon State. Good player. Not great, good player. And now everybody's doing backflips because he's going to Florida State, where you know what? He'll probably be good player. Not great, good player. He's like 35 years old. Okay, cool.
No, I hear you there. Again, I do think that especially if Michigan wins the title, I think this is a big important step for the new Big Ten. To say, hey, we're here and we're on.
It's cool.
It's going to take more than 1 year because the Southern dominance has been 20 years, basically.
But Derek,
but
Michigan, Washington, Oregon.
It's something to build on. It's something to build on for the league. And the narrative that's always bothered me is that Alabama and Georgia and teams like that, yes, they have been good enough to blast the Big Ten's best. Or Iowa against Tennessee. Yeah, there's a big difference there. But what's always bothered me about the SEC is that, there's no difference between Arkansas and Minnesota. You know what I mean? Like those programs are the same. Like you throw Arkansas or Mississippi State in the Big Ten, they'd finish right where they always finish, in the middle of the bottom.
You're right.
That's what's always kind of bothered me about the narrative. Let's get to our quick hits. Important to mention this, and it feels like we've been doing a rest in peace for the quick hits a lot, but Gil de Ferran, very, very sad.
Yeah, Gil de Ferran was, not only did he win the Indianapolis 500 in 2003 in driving for Roger Penske, he was a great engineering mind. As a matter of fact, I remember late in that 2003 May when it was Gil de Ferran that encouraged Penske to go to a different chassis. I can't remember if he went with the Falcon and the rest of the team was with the Panos, but he went with a different setup and then, of course, ended up winning the race in 2003. But worked for Honda, worked for McLaren, was a true gentleman. And really an understated guy. I recall a couple of years ago being at the St. Pete race and walking through the paddock area for quite some time behind Gil de Ferran. He just happened to be going the same direction I did. And very few people actually recognized him or stopped him. He was a very understated, quiet-mannered, but fun with a quick wit, and very personable, extremely kind and generous and appreciative of what he had. The 2003 Indy 500 champion dying of a heart attack at the age of 56. So he will be remembered, obviously, by the racing community, but more importantly, I think, remembered as a guy that was a family guy with 2 children, leaves behind a wife and 2 kids, and truly a gentleman.
We had him on in the Firestone Garage. Remember that one year?
Yeah, he was great.
He came over, and, he was, 56. Geez, he's not that much older than you.
Right.
Very, very sad. So certainly thinking about him and all those close to him, Tony Kanaan, and really the entire racing community. Panthers idiot owner throws drink on Jaguars fans. David Tepper, there's been no comment about that so far. The incident appeared to happen with about 3 minutes to play after an interception by Bryce Young, who's been a disaster this year. Panthers spokesperson declined to comment. NFL spokesperson Brian McCarthy said only that the league is aware of the video and no further comment, but you would think there'd be a reprimand there. Can't have your owners throwing drinks on people.
He's an idiot.
Come on.
He's the new Daniel Snyder.
Yeah. Just a lot of these owners, though, it shows that it's not based on merit why you're owning an NFL team, right? And then potentially the UFL is back.
I saw that.
United Football League. March
But
2024.
it's combined with the XFL, right?
USFL and XFL.
Yep.
So there's a USFL conference, which will be the Birmingham Stallions, Houston Roughnecks, Memphis Showboats, and Michigan. Why would they bring back the Michigan Panthers? It's the lamest of the USFL teams. And then the XFL conference,
Be a fan of the-
Arlington Renegades,
Think it should
DC
have been the
Defenders,
Boston Breakers?
San Antonio Brahmas, and St. Louis Battlehawks.
The Battlehawks in St. Louis are well supported.
Battlehawks.
I'm a fan of the Birmingham Stallions.
Jags Report, Chateau Kitchens, buy it or bull bleep when we come back. It's Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
Hey, AC.
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Hey, AC.
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Back for a final time. Bailey and Wood presents Corey and Schultz. Got to hustle here to end the show, but it's our time for our IUPUI. Jaguars report. Men's basketball put up an impressive effort. They defeated Detroit Mercy inside the Farmers Coliseum on Friday, beating the Titans 67
Great place to watch a game.
to 55. They built a double-digit lead in the game's opening 5 minutes, and they've now won back-to-back home games. Vincent Brady, too, the former Cathedral star, the second, I guess I shouldn't say, 17 points. Kittrell Blocker added in a SportsCenter top 10 play, came in at number 8, scored 8 on the day. And on New Year's Eve, the Jags fell just short to Cleveland State, 86-77. Brady and Bryce Monroe led 4 Jags in double figures with 16 points. Men's hoops on the road this week. Robert Morris Thursday, Sunday at Youngstown. Jags back at home January 10th for Corporate Business Day at noon. Women's hoops wrapped up the year with a 2-game trip, starting with a loss to Robert Morris. And on Sunday, they couldn't hold off Youngstown State, unfortunately, falling in the final minutes of the game, 58-56 in a heartbreaker. Grad student Talia Walton tallied a season-high 18 points. Women's hoops home this week, just one game. Thursday, inside the jungle, 7 p.m. against Detroit Mercy. Single-game tickets on sale. Ticketmaster and for all winter sports, IUPUIJags.com/tickets.
Let's go Jags, right?
Let's go Jags. IUPUI. Chateau Kitchens, Buy it or Bull Bleep, brought to you by our friends at Chateau Kitchens. At Chateau Kitchens on Instagram and Facebook for their spectacular and transformational before and after pictures. ChateauKitchens.com. Your next interior home project, whether it be a basement, kitchen, or bathroom, call our friends at Chateau Kitchens. Statement number 1, Jake. These results and a Michigan title will change the narrative on SEC dominance. Buy it or Bull Bleep.
Bull Schultz. I mean, SEC, between
Are you
Feinbaum
covering up your mic? Can you hear people? There you go.
Bull Schultz.
Okay.
SEC talk is not going away in the span of 1 year. They have too many talking heads
Yeah.
on too many different
Needs to be a
platforms.
lot of years of this for also Bull Bleep. The Bears need to take a quarterback number 1 and trade Justin Fields. Buy it or Bull Bleep.
I think that's Bull Schultz. I like Justin Fields, actually. I would parlay that into – I would either – they have 2 picks in the top 5, right?
Yeah, well, top 10 probably.
I mean, I would take
They're falling out.
Marvin Harrison Jr., get him a weapon, and then build pieces around him. I
Good
think he can
problem
play.
to have, I guess, but I would trade Fields and go number 1. The jury's still out on him. Statement 3, this is the worst stretch of the entire year. Buy it or Bull Bleep.
No question. You kidding me?
Yeah, buy it.
It's
100% buy it.
I mean, fill your Coke with Prozac. It's
Thanks to
awful.
Vince. Thanks to Rake. Thanks to JD. For Jake Query, my name is Derek Schultz. Appreciate you joining us. Have a happy, safe, blessed,
24.
wonderful 2024. And we'll see you next time here on Bailey and Wood Presents Corey and Schultz on the ISC Sports Network. Time for the awkward wave.
IUPUI basketball is back. Come witness history with head coach Matt Crenshaw inside Indiana Farmers Coliseum and head coach Kate Bruce inside the jungle as they usher in a new era of Jaguars athletics. Be there for exciting Horizon League and in-state matchups. Affordable fun for the whole family. Full season tickets are now on sale starting as low as $80. Order today at IUPUIJags.com/tickets or call 317-278-2530. Work hard, make noise, have fun. Go Jags.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride ourselves on our 5-star customer service. But at our core, we're a family. Family owned and family to our customers, staff, and our community. From charity events to recognizing hometown heroes, we prioritize giving back to our communities that have always supported our growth. So let us help you get your dream home today.